Guys, before we get into today's video, just a quick reminder that recently I did a hard-hitting podcast with who is, in my opinion, the UK's biggest and best host. That is Liam Tufts. Here's a preview. The survivors were mostly men because they'd taken the life jackets from the women and children. This is not the country that we were born and bred in and brought up in. I don't recognise it. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of unchecked men. Where are the women and children? I don't see many. In fact, I don't really see any. Not only are we under threat from the crime that's taking place, we've also become under threat from our own government. I think Keir Starmer is a very, very dangerous man. The only hate that I've found, the only violence that I've seen, has come from the left.
Tell me where some of your death threats have come from.
And you can see the full interview over at Liam's channel. I'll leave a link in the description below. Right, let's get into today's video. Welcome back, everyone. Now, I reckon about 95% of those of you that watch this channel probably voted for reform at the last general election, and you'd probably do the same thing if there was another general election tomorrow. And if I'm honest, so would I. After all, we haven't really got that many horses in the race to choose from, have we? However, it's just my opinion that there's a little bit of a problem here. Reform and Nigel Farage know, or at least they think that in us, they have a captive audience. They're a bit like the motorway service station, aren't they? When you're running out of fuel, you haven't got much choice other than to use it. And as things stand, we currently are waiting for reform to properly democratise the party. We'll have to wait and see exactly what that ends up looking like, and from there we can form a better opinion of exactly where they, and indeed we, are heading. But if Nigel and co think that this is a captive audience, then I'd strongly suggest in a friendly fashion that they do well to think again. And if I'm brutally honest with you, I'm getting just a little bit tired of some of Reform's rather stuffy attitude and their lack of willingness to show some bravery, support, and indeed, more importantly, some backing to this community, and to hold out their hand and embrace their grassroots supporters, which has kind of left me wondering, is this really the party of the people? Or is it the people being used by the party? Or should I say, right now, the company? Look, I don't think anyone expects Nigel and co to openly support certain members of this movement or to invite any of us to speak on his stage. We understand why, we get it, and to a large degree, he's probably right. We know that politics is about optics, but times are changing. The people of this country are sick to death of posh men wearing expensive suits with their Oxbridge accents who habitually lie through their teeth and who always fail to deliver. Change is in the air, and reform would do well to recognise that. Let's be honest, given the choice, who would want any of the last few prime ministers as a scout leader, let alone the leader of our country? I think Nigel Farage wants to break that mould, but I'm not totally convinced yet that he's our man. He talks a great game, but in recent times he has been found wanting, in my humble opinion. Where was he on the 27th? And if not Nigel, where were his representatives after the highest profile members of this movement bought his party probably a couple of million votes? His response was to throw one man in particular under a bus. That's not a leader that I can personally trust. And I know that a lot of you feel the same way. Remember what I've said in the past. Look, sometimes it's better to say nothing at all, especially when you've got nothing good to say. Look, like most of you guys out there, I am desperate, absolutely desperate for reform to be the answer to our political prayers. But I do have my concerns. Where is and what role does the hugely respected and much liked Ben Habib in Reform's plans to democratise. Richard Tice is a very likeable man. He's someone that I am warming to. But personally, however, my own choice, I prefer the pairing of Ben and Lee Anderson, two men that tell it as it really is, show huge amounts of bravery, and who seem to have a real understanding, a connection, and indeed the backs of the British public. But if you look at that for Nigel, Richard, Lee and Ben, that could be a real winning formula, but not unless they open up and embrace the people. And that means all of us, because Reform cannot and they will not win the next general election with a captive audience of fed up Tories who may well lose their nerve and end up going back to where they came from. Now look, Nigel, if you ever get to see this, have a think about what I've said. We need warmth. The people are looking for comfort. We need and we want Ben Habib and a proper democratic party led by the people, with the people, for the people. Now, what a genuine and quite unstoppable powerhouse that will be. And to hell with what the media say or what they think about us. It's time to move with the times. It's time to unite. It's time to bring the British people together and let the rest get on with whatever they want to do whilst we win back our country from those that seem hell-bent on destroying it.